that yes, there are opportunities. And
so there's hope.
Well, but there's truly opportunities. There really are. I mean, it's that sincerity. It's that trustworthiness that when you walk into a room and you tell somebody something, you better mean what you say and say what you mean. Because that's where the breakdown is. Where somebody comes over here and makes some sort of deal here, and then they go over there and they make another deal. You've got to be a man of your word. Mm-hmm. So I think that is what's lost, is the integrity, the trust from one to another, and the honesty. Mm-hmm. Hey, you don't have to agree on everything, but at least respect that individual. And if there's one thing that I've found with all the negotiations that we've done, and we settled every negotiating group in Hollidaysburg Area School District, there's reasons why things are the way they are. Mm-hmm. And if you disregard those reasons, you will never reach a conclusion.
Okay. What are your thoughts on marriage and pro-life?
Well, I'm certainly pro-life. And my stance on pro-life is that when an individual consents to conceive, then you give up your right from that point. Obviously it has to be consensual. But my point to that is that if you can make that decision to conceive a child, you should be obligated to fulfill that responsibility that you chose. Mm-hmm. So the idea of, well, today I do, tomorrow I don't, and I can assure you, as a candidate, I filled out a stack of the informational forms that people send you and want to know what your stances are. But it's very consistent. And I truly do understand, when there's situations of rape or incest or things like that, those aren't voluntary. But when you make that voluntary decision, and I know people that have had abortions, and I know people that are very saddened and their lives truly are damaged from that. So some of the things that I did see on that was a mandatory waiting period or some sort of informational, time or some sort of counseling or something, because I think oftentimes decisions are made too rapidly, and they affect not only your life, but the life of the unborn.
Oh, absolutely. And marriage, do you support a marriage amendment?
This was pretty interesting. I was at the Tyrone Festival the other week, and there was a woman that came up to me, and she said, "What do you think about same-sex marriage?" I said, frankly, this is a government. I shouldn't be in your bedroom. I don't care what you do in your bedroom. It's none of my concern. I said, but if you want me to change the definition of marriage, which if you look it up, it's between a man and a woman. I said, I get very, very concerned when you start changing definitions, because where does that end? So as far as rights, and this is a good analogy, there are individuals that live a lifetime together, and they may be two sisters or a mother and a daughter or situations like that. I think they should have rights as far as making decisions for one or another, in those situations. But to change definitions, that's a very, very slippery slope.
Okay. And do you support the Second Amendment? Pro-gun?
Typically what I do in this, when people ask me, I pull my wallet out and I show you my concealed carry permit. But
I won't do that on you?
Yes, I do, but I won't do that today.
In regards to other issues in general, your overall philosophy of government, what is that, Aaron?
Well, my overall philosophy of government is the Ronald Reagan government. Smaller, more efficient government. And obviously you need government. I mean, the Constitution spells it out. And I hear people all the time saying, well, the Constitution doesn't really apply to today. The Constitution, that's like saying the Ten Commandments don't apply to today. I mean, these are things that have gone on forever. And as long as you have human beings, you're going to have these issues. And it doesn't matter whether it was 10,000 years ago or 10,000 years from now. Those are the issues. The United States is so unique because it was founded by free people. You look at the rest of the world, it was never founded by free people. They were always oppressed in one manner or another. And when you look, and I did some of my history things for the Tyrone event down there, and basically on my grandfather's side, I had one Scotch-Irishman that came over here actually and fought for the British in the Revolutionary War, and a German that came over in his teens and actually fought in the Army of Washington in the Revolutionary War, and they gave him property over in the Duncansville area as fighting for that. But if you look back, what inspired these people to come to the United States? Because they were oppressed in Europe. They had no opportunities. There was no future. So they really, as young men, took a risk to get onto a leaky boat, maybe make it across the ocean, maybe get it to somewhere, maybe live, maybe die. So that shows how bad things have been in other parts of the world and how they can be. And if it wasn't for the stability of the United States, and we're slipping a bit from that now, and you can see the chaos and the carnage that's created without a stabilizing force.
Do you support privatization of anything here in the state?
Well, when I look at the lottery, 40% of the lottery is administration. So, those are things. Now, I want to be clear on this. To privatize a lottery, you don't give up the asset. You're basically just leasing the process. It would be the same with the turnpike. And they've done this in Indiana, and it was quite successful in Indiana, where they leased the capital property. They don't turn it over, they don't sell it, they lease it. And I will say that these are issues that PennDOT's actually even looking at, as far as road maintenance, where you give, let's say, a road construction company a contract to maintain a certain section of road. And to me, I think that's great because it maintains year-round work. It maintains long-term stability instead of all these ups and downs as far as these road construction companies and things like that.
As you travel the district, what's the number one concern here, in your opinion?
I'll tell you what the number one real concern is. And when I was out getting petition signatures and as I meet people, I thought, well, there's changes that I'd like to implement. But the real issue is a lack of faith in government. We have 20% or sometimes less people voting. People have checked out. They have absolutely no confidence in their representatives or their government. That's something I want to change, because I want people to know that I'm there and I'm there to do their work. I'm not there as Aaron Ritchey. I'm a conduit of the people. And that is how you reflect. People, well, I'm not going to vote because it doesn't matter. That's a cop-out. Do your job as a citizen, get out the vote, put the people in those positions as you feel that are best qualified for it, and take some responsibility for your government. You can't just say they don't do what I want and then check out. They do what you tell them to do. So I want to create a little bit of confidence in government, because I have to say there's a lot of pitchforks and torches sitting inside people's doors just waiting for a little bit of leadership to be able to move in a positive direction.
And why do you feel you're the best candidate?
Well, I'm a lifelong conservative. I always believed in smaller government. I am impassioned by the examples that I gave you earlier, what people were willing to do, the risks that they were willing to take just to get to America. I feel compelled to act. And I have to say, my son is in the military now. He's in the Air Force. He just volunteered for deployment to Afghanistan. I say to people that don't bother to register to vote, I said, you can agree or disagree with the missions that these people were sent on, but don't you feel some obligation to choose the people that send these young men and women to wherever they have to go?
All right, very good. And you have an event this evening?
I do. It is we're having our third debate of 3 at the Spring House in Roaring Springs. That is at 6 o'clock. And I hope people can come out, because obviously, I'm very appreciative to these groups to have these events, because it's very important that people understand who it is that they're voting for.
Very good. And on that note, I'd like to remind you that the last day to register to vote is April the 21st for the primary. And we would encourage you to vote for May 20th and to get out there, because these races are going to be decided during the primary.
Yep.
And as far as I'm concerned, you have no right to complain if you don't get out there and vote. It's your right, and people fought hard and died for your right to vote. And I would like to thank Lois Kanashiki for allowing me to guest host her show. Hopefully it was in good hands today. And you can catch this show throughout the month of April on Monday evenings at 8 p.m. And I would also encourage you to like the Facebook page for Speak Out, so you can follow the show. And you can follow me on Twitter at Julie A. Malone. And Aaron, thank you and best wishes. And that's it for today.